On Tuesday, voters in a Texas county will decide a hotly contested race for district attorney. One of the most contentious issues is an unsolved murder from more than 50 years ago. For months, 48 Hours correspondent Richard Schlesinger has been investigating the case of a young beauty queen who went to confession and never returned. Here's a preview of tomorrow night's report.
It's been more than 50 years, but the shadow of the unsolved murder of Irene Garza still hangs over McAllen, Texas.
The killer still sits somewhere on this earth, smugly, thinking he got away with it.
Noemi Ponce-Siegler was just a child when Irene Garza went missing. She and other family members learned that Irene had gone to confession on Easter weekend and never came home. Searchers fanned out looking for her, and one of them was Noemi's father, a deputy sheriff.
That man wouldn't even sleep trying to find Irene.
Irene's shoe was found first, then her purse, and finally her body was found floating in a canal. Irene had been beaten, raped, and suffocated. Also in the canal, a curious clue, a slide viewer with a long black cord. It turned out it belonged to Father John Fite, the priest who heard Irene's last confession.
That's horrible. That's an insult.
Father Fite told police two different stories about where Irene gave her confession that night. He had scratches on his hands and later failed a lie detector test. But Fite was not arrested, and Noemi says as a young girl, she came upon a scene with her father that might explain why.
I saw him sitting in a chair with a white handkerchief, and he was crying.
What was he crying about?
Later, I found out that my daddy had been asked to turn in his records of the investigation of the case.
Many in Irene's family suspected that some kind of agreement had been made between the church and the authorities, but there's no hard evidence of that. Nevertheless, Father Fite soon disappeared from McAllen, and the case went cold for decades until this man came forward.
I covered up the evidence. I'm sorry for what I did.
Dale Tashney was once a monk at this Trappist monastery in Missouri. He says in 1963, John Fite arrived and in months of counseling sessions told him all about killing a young woman on an Easter weekend in a rectory.
He assaulted her, bound her, and gagged her. As he left, he could hear her saying, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe."
Despite Tashney's account, John Fite remains a free man. He left the priesthood long ago.
Hello, Mr. Fite.
And we recently caught up with him in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Well, let me just ask you straight out. Did you kill Irene Garza?
No.
Do you know who did?
No.
Well, Dale Tashney says that you told him that you did kill
Dale is
her.
full of
But Irene's family wants to hear more from Fite, under oath, at a trial.
He can't get away with it. He's not going to get away with it.
And Richard Schlesinger is with us. I mean, is there a chance at this point, Richard, there could be an arrest?
Well, you know, the Texas Rangers have been working this case for more than a decade. They would like to arrest him, but the local DA doesn't want to prosecute yet because evidence is old, the witnesses are old, some evidence has gone missing. It's a tough case, but it's part of the race for DA that's taking place next week. This 54-year-old case is still very much alive in the politics in South Texas.
What an incredible story. Richard, thank you so much.